As basketball fans, we love watching NBA players amaze us with their skills and bring excitement to the game. But have you ever thought about what they might be going through behind the scenes? Because some of the players have faced struggles so intense that they ruined their own careers with addiction. Let's dive into the stories of 13 NBA players whose off-court battles led them from the top of the draft to the brink of ruin. Subscribe and let's get straight into it. The player that starts things off on our list is the very well-known Michael Beasley. Drafted second overall by the Miami Heat in 2008, Michael Beasley had sky-high expectations. Everything was super cool with him in the start, which led him to be known as Super Cool Bees, or a scoring machine. Later, in his 2010-2011 season with the Timberwolves, he even averaged 19.2 points per game. But despite his on-court brilliance, his off-the-court struggles with marijuana and other issues kept him from reaching his full potential. It's like having the perfect jump shot, but always stepping out of bounds. Beasley's talent was undeniable, but his focus was, let's say, a little off-court. Roy Tarpley was a lion on the court until his demons off the court took over. He was drafted by the Dallas Mavericks in 1986 and was an all-rookie team member and sixth man of the year. Before long, Tarpley established himself as a dominant force, averaging a double-double in early seasons. But while his talent was massive, so was his struggle with substance abuse. His career was repeatedly interrupted by suspensions due to his alcohol and drug use, resulting in a lifetime ban from the NBA in 1995. Despite multiple attempts to resurrect his career, including stints overseas, Tarpley could never escape his addiction. While we don't know for sure why Roy Tarpley got started on drugs to begin with, the pressure to always be at his best as an NBA star probably played a big part. If Roy was a Game of Thrones character, he'd be the guy with all the potential to rule the kingdom, but instead he takes one wrong turn and, well, you know how that show goes. Next up on the list is Michael Ray Richardson, widely known as Sugar. And, well, we can't blame anyone. His style of play was pretty sweet. Michael was one of the NBA's most dynamic point guards in the late 70s and early 80s. He had it all: speed, defense, and the ability to make clutch plays. He was the first player in NBA history to lead the league in both assists and steals in the same season. But his off-the-court life wasn't so sweet. By December 1983, Richardson had been to 3 drug treatment clinics for his cocaine addiction. The Nets decided to release him, but he was reinstated 5 months later. Despite a remarkable comeback, leading New Jersey to a shocking playoff upset and earning his 4th All-Star appearance, Richardson's struggles continued. Finally, on February 25, 1986, Richardson got tested positive for cocaine for a 3rd time, becoming the first player banned under the NBA's anti-drug program. His career took a serious hit, ultimately leading to a lifetime ban. Now, before you move forward, we've got a question for you. If you had to choose, would you take a player with immense talent but a risky lifestyle, or someone with less talent but a guaranteed long career? Let us know in those comments below. Now moving on to number 10, Lamar Odom. Odom was a crucial part of the Los Angeles Lakers' back-to-back championships in 2009, 2010, and in 2011. He even earned the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award. However, his life off the court was full of drama that could have been scripted for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Oh wait, it kind of was. Odom struggled with drug addiction throughout his career, and it was made even more public by his marriage to Khloe Kardashian. His sex addiction fueled his drug abuse, ultimately ruining his NBA career. His drug use led to multiple suspensions and an eventual overdose in 2015 that left him fighting for his life. Yet, this near-death experience became a turning point. Odom's journey to sobriety has been challenging, but he's committed to overcoming his addiction and building a new chapter. Nowadays, he is sober and actively sharing his story on podcasts, occasionally attending Lakers games, and using his platform to inspire others. Richard Dumas was the definition of raw talent, showing flashes of brilliance as a forward for the Phoenix Suns, especially during their 1993 NBA Finals run. He looked like an NBA superstar, averaging 15.8 points per game in his rookie season. But just when it seemed like he was on the peak of greatness, his career was severely affected by substance abuse. Despite his potential, Dumas couldn't escape the grip of his addiction, leading to multiple suspensions and ultimately a premature end to what could have been a solid career. His story is like a subplot to Stranger Things. One minute, you're lighting up the court, and the next, you're lost in the upside down, trapped by your own demons. John Lucas II was a man of many talents. Not only was he a first overall pick in the 1976 NBA draft, but he also had a successful career as a coach after his playing days were over. But before he became a mentor to others, Lucas struggled mightily with substance abuse. His struggle with cocaine and alcohol was a dark chapter that nearly destroyed what could have been a Hall of Fame career. The turning point came in March 1986, when Lucas hit rock bottom after a night-long blackout. He woke up in a rundown Houston neighborhood wearing several pairs of socks, no shoes, and a suit drenched in his own urine. Late for practice and facing a positive drug test, the Rockets had no choice but to release him. And although he managed to turn his life around later and became a respected coach and counselor, his playing days were marred by his inability to stay clean. The NBA is filled with what-if moments. So who do you think is the biggest what-if in NBA history? Is it someone we've talked about? Or do you have another player in mind? Let us know in the comments. Moving on to number 7, Louis Lloyd. Louis Lloyd was a Philly legend, known for his jaw-dropping skills on the court. He dominated at Overbrook High School and later became an NBA star, wowing fans with moves that seemed almost magical. After all, they didn't call him Black Magic for nothing. But off the court, his story took a darker turn. Lloyd struggled with cocaine addiction that led to a suspension. And just like that, his promising NBA career started to crumble. It was like the ultimate game of Jenga. One bad move, and it all came crashing down. Lloyd passed away in 2019 at 60, leaving behind a story of what could have been. Mitchell Wiggins is perhaps best known today as the father of NBA star Andrew Wiggins. But before he was dad, Mitchell Wiggins was a solid NBA player in his own right. He was drafted by the Pacers and eventually found success with the Houston Rockets. Wiggins was a reliable scorer and defender, but then something unexpected happened. He got suspended from the NBA in 1987 after testing positive for cocaine. The suspension came after the NBA received a tip, leading to mandatory testing under the league's anti-drug policy. The tests were conducted by the Pola Laboratory, confirming Wiggins' cocaine use, and ultimately resulting in a 2.5-year suspension. During this time, Wiggins was offered drug rehabilitation at the league's expense. Although he eventually returned to the NBA, the suspension marked a turning point in his career, and he was never able to fully regain his previous form. Chris Washburn was supposed to be the next big thing. At 6'11", with the ability to dominate in the paint, he was drafted 3rd overall by the Golden State Warriors in 1986. But Washburn's NBA career was a disaster from the start. By high school, he was already drinking and smoking marijuana. After a crushing loss to Kansas, a fellow player introduced him to cocaine, a decision that would haunt him forever. Washburn's career lasted just 2 seasons before he was banned for life after failing 3 drug tests. Washburn's short-lived career shows us that talent alone isn't enough to succeed. Discipline and focus are just as important. If you could bring back one of the players we've talked about in this video to see their full potential, who would it be and why? Marvin "Bad News" Barnes was a basketball star with a story that's as thrilling as it is tragic. He was a standout player for Providence College on a team so strong that many believed they could have beaten Bill Walton's UCLA in 1973 if Barnes hadn't been injured in the semifinals. That season is still talked about as one of the most exciting in basketball history. Barnes had a brief but brilliant moment where he was considered one of the best players in the world, but his rise was overshadowed by his struggles with drugs. He once admitted to snorting cocaine on the Celtics bench during a game. Ultimately, his promising career was cut short, and he bounced around different leagues before retiring in 1986. Barnes' life was like a roller coaster, full of highs and lows, success and personal battles. Eventually, this legend passed away at 62 in Providence, leaving behind a legacy that's both impressive and cautionary. John Drew was an exciting player in the 1970s and early 1980s, known for his scoring and 2 All-Star selections. But his career took a dark turn due to a serious cocaine addiction. Drew became one of the first players to be banned from the NBA permanently because of drug problem, ending what could have been a standout career. During the 1982-83 season, Drew missed 38 games as he went through drug rehab. Even though he tried to come back strong, he was the runner-up for the NBA Comeback Player of the Year award, losing out to Paul Westphal. David Thompson was Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan even figured out how to tie his sneakers. Known widely as Skywalker for his incredible jumping ability, Thompson was one of the most exciting players of the 1970s. He once scored 73 points in a single game and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. But Thompson's career was ruined by his addiction to cocaine, which led to injuries, a decline in performance, and ultimately an early retirement. Despite his impressive achievements, his career ended too soon, reminding us that even the brightest stars can falter when faced with their personal battles. And now, on to number 1. He is a player whose NBA career never even began, Len Bias. If you know anything about NBA history, you know Bias was about to be the next big thing, the guy who could have given Larry Bird a run for his money. Drafted 2nd overall by the Boston Celtics in 1986, Bias was touted as the next big thing in basketball. His game was electric, his potential limitless, and he was all set to join a Celtics team that was already a powerhouse. But unfortunately, just 2 days after the draft, the world of basketball was shattered. Len Bias died of a cocaine overdose, leaving everyone around him completely in awe. If there was an episode of Breaking Bad, Bias's story would be the devastating pilot, showing us the first glimpse of how easily lives can be destroyed by addiction. After his death, the Celtics were left wondering, what if? And we all know that's the worst question in sports. All in all, these 13 players had the talent to be among the NBA's all-time greats, but their battles with addiction ultimately ruined their career. While their stories are tragic, they also serve as a powerful reminder of the dangers of substance abuse. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate to seek help. Remember, it's never too late to turn your life around. And lastly, if you could create a comeback team with these players, who would be your starting 5? Drop your picks in the comments. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.